Thank you. Yeah, we're going to talk about data governance, which is usually a quite boring topic, and but it's essential for AI and enabling AI. And we also have a little bit of insights how we make use of AI to enable data governance in the end. We're going to make this as entertaining as possible for you because it's a dry topic, and we believe it can be fun and also effective. So let's get started with a brief. Now it works. Brief introduction to Vattenfall. I'm sure Vattenfall is known in Berlin. We recently sold off the heat business to the city, but we are also having other parts of the organization who deal with energy. For example, the generation, trading, of course, our customer business, but also smart energy solutions like smart meters and e-charging and so on. And well, in the past, and partly today, it's still the case that we are quite siloed. We are more than 100 years old, and different business areas are, well, let's say, quite established and mature in the way what they're doing. So we have the common data silos that mature industries have. We have a lack of standards, or let's say, well, the problem is more we have too many standards and can't agree on one. Inefficiencies that result out of that, and then, of course, the resulting financial risks. In the future, we of course want to be a bit more transparent and have high-quality data that we can use for all those things we want to do in the future with AI and reporting and automation. For that, we need standards and guidelines, and we need to align on them to enable efficient collaboration, and then, of course, also leverage the innovation potential. Those are now a lot of buzzwords, and there's a nice picture that basically displays the struggle that organizations usually face when they are in this transition phase. And I have it here with you, or for you, and maybe you can tell me what happens here, or what basically is shown in this picture. Anybody has a guess? Maybe? Sorry? Yeah, I mean, it goes in the right direction. It's definitely about traffic rules. Also, in the interest of time, we need to speed up a little bit. That's when Sweden, and Vattenfall is a Swedish company, changed the side of the road where they were driving on. So, from one day to another, the rules or the standard all of a sudden changed. And you can see the chaos here. And that's very much what we see every day in our organizations as well, because the, let's say, standards are not valid anymore. The agreements, the common habits are not valid anymore, and therefore we have that chaos. And we need to negotiate again, okay, what are you doing when you indicate to drive right? Are you turning left? Whatever. So that's very much the challenge, also how we understand data governance in the end. It's not a big set of rules. I mean, eventually you can have that, but data governance is what happens on the street, what happens basically on the floors of the organization. Are they able to communicate with each other? Are they able to collaborate? Are they understanding each other? So creating a nice set of rules that everybody can comply to and feels familiar with is exactly what we try to achieve. It's called H-Day, by the way, in the 60s, so they had cars for quite a long time, but very good guess. Yeah, it's about introducing traffic rules for data in the end. Usually this is, again, a very dry topic, and there's another little quiz I have here, and the question is to explain basically why it is so difficult to introduce data governance. And one answer to that is also the answer to this question. And why IKEA, or why is IKEA selling hot dogs? Take a guess, please. You all know IKEA, you all know hot dogs. Don't leave me hanging, the clock is ticking. Yeah. Not sure if I got it. Again, I will solve the quiz here. Basically, when we look at the customer journey of IKEA, when you go into the store, well, the customer experience of IKEA is that you have a store location which is quite average in the experience, but then they make you go through the round tour. So you need to go somewhere where you actually don't want to be. Eventually, well, the product placement is quite nice, it's rewarding, it's cool, but then basically it's dropping again. You need to go to the market hall, a lot of stuff, you buy more than you want. You need to search in the shelves, you need to get the stuff out of the shelves, you need to pay. So at the end of an IKEA trip, basically, it is quite exhausting, you're not happy, spent more money, maybe had a fight with your partner, whatever. So you don't feel good at the end of IKEA, usually. You're not a happy person. And that's where they introduced the hot dog. So it's a reward, okay, you made it, now you get something cheap, and so on and so forth. And we took that principle also for data management. How does our customer journey, basically introducing traffic rules, look like, usually? Well, we start with the problem already here, so people are not happy. Then we might have some framework, so that is something they can deliver on, but then you need to find stewards. Almost impossible. Everybody's gone when it's about stewardship. Data catalog, again, you can have a nice project, you can get budget, you can do some vendor selection, whatever, rewarding, but then again, somebody needs to create the metadata. It's not rewarding, not fun. Ownership, again, nobody is accountable, it's the other department, whatever, again, not fun. Lineage, again, you have to do it. Maybe you see something, but it's not rewarding. And then, of course, the quality, usually it's quite bad. And the question we simply asked ourselves was, okay, how can we get the hot dog in this challenge? How can we make it fun and effective of a rather challenging journey, basically? So what does a hot dog define, or how is a hot dog defined in this context? Basically, it's accessible. At the end of the checkout, you see the big, I've shown it, the big sign, hot dog €1. Nowadays, it's more expensive, but you get the idea. It's transparent, so it shows you get one hot dog for €1. And then it's, of course, also rewarding. So we need to have those attributes in our hot dog, because, of course, we can't make a lot of hot dogs every morning in the business and just distribute them when everybody or anybody has done some good data governance. We need to translate it into business activities. And for that, we have a nice solution, I believe. But let's dive into the different aspects here, what it means to us, and then also how we solve it. What is accessibility for us? Basically, the concept of desire lines is what's behind it. So people have a very good understanding how to solve issues. So they have a natural way of approaching problems and get them, in their perception, nicely fixed and done. And instead of basically putting a fence up, as you would do it in Germany maybe, or a sign, and this picture's from the Netherlands actually, we try to pave that way and say, okay, well, if you want to take the little shortcut, you're welcome. We're not making your life harder than it already is. We want to have it as easy as possible for you. Now Michael will explain how we translated accessibility in this solution here in Vattenfall.
Exactly. So what do hot dogs mean for the software world here and for data quality? We integrate into the tools where people work anyway. And this is like MS Teams or Slack. And oftentimes, even though people hate it, it's Microsoft Excel. So people work in these tools, and we give them their desire lines. So we enable them to work on data quality tasks and actively contribute to data governance in the tool where they work anyway. And then we try to automate as much as possible and make it like really low barrier, really easy to contribute with their domain expertise.
Exactly. Let's come to transparency. So usually when it comes to data and data quality, it's really a big mess. So it's difficult to even get started because we have so many challenges. And we actually want to see the forest for the trees. So we want to not just cut everything down, but have some structure in the problem. Meaning we still have a big mess, but we want to prioritize different things. So there can be things that are not nice, but at least we have some indication where to go and some guidelines that help us to get at least in the right direction.
And exactly in the same way, we do it again in the software world. You can prioritize which data is really important to you, because all companies say like, all our data is garbage, but you have to prioritize which one really hurts and minimizes or hinders the business value. So you prioritize which data really matters to you, and then you get not only like indication of how bad the data is, but also like a helpful pointer how to improve the data, integrated into existing processes and into the existing tools. So fully integrated in the tech stack and software world where the people work anyway.
And then, of course, we sync that in our data catalog where everybody has access to, so that really everybody is able to see the stuff, the quality, the challenges, the people to contact. Exactly. And now, maybe coming to the last and most important aspect here. The other ones are quite generic. Yeah, we understand it needs to be accessible and transparent, nice. But how do we basically, make this rewarding? The best part of the hot dog. It's nice to have a sign that says, "Oh, you get a hot dog for €1," but eating it is a lot more rewarding. And the challenge that we very often see, that I also very often see, is that people have this no pain, no gain approach in data governance. So they make a project, they get, I don't know, working students or, I don't know, people who maybe didn't behave, and they get this task, oh yeah, fix this database in 3 weeks or whatever. So a lot of effort, and yes, it feels good when you have achieved it and when you've done it. But it's usually and we know it from ourselves, especially when we have a fitness studio subscription, that we maybe start very enthusiastic, but in the long run, it's difficult to get to stay motivated. So when you combine all of those things that we just talked about, it should more feel like a walk in the park for us. Something that you do every day, maybe, ideally, where you have a bit of a nice pathway that guides you through the challenges, and you have a hot dog maybe on the way, and it just becomes a lot easier basically to fix your problems without having them as a big burden or challenge in front of you. And that's what we also implemented with the help of DQC into our data quality or data governance activities.
And what this then looks like is that there are gamification elements associated with the data quality tasks and the improvement tasks. So people can collect virtual points, and then later on, when they are awarded some points, they can redeem them, and then maybe some trees get planted or something like that. And then it's a much cooler story to tell at home when you get home after work and say, like, this month I planted 3 trees, compared to I corrected like 34 data entries that were incorrect in the CRM system. And then, importantly, of course, this way you can improve master data and transactional data. What is important is that you also see the progress over time, so that your contributions make a difference. Because no one wants to go through Groundhog Day, but only like relive the same day over and over again with data quality issues. So it's nice if you can see like, oh, we are getting somewhere. But are we getting somewhere?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, nowadays it's a lot of theory, so to say. But I think our joint journey is 2 years, 2.5 years. And maybe if you know the corporate environment and especially critical infrastructure, that's rather quick to get something implemented in such an environment. And for some time, we are now having, let's say, productive projects in this environment. And we see something. So it's a reference, so to say, database, and we collected some feedback from the users. So in this specific quality mission, we have assigned 5 colleagues to the task, so that team of experts who usually need to deal with the problems. And on average, they did 15 error corrections per week, because every other day, Monday, Wednesday, Friday usually, they get 2-3 tasks assigned via the Teams bot that tells them, oh, here's an issue. Based on the quality rules, they can click on the deep link to the underlying system, fix it, and get a nice little reward in form of points and badges for it. And they just do it on the fly, just as they would get a notification from some colleague, oh, there is something odd here, can you help me fixing it? Also, this incentive, or the incentive of collecting points is, we had a bit of an, we saw the risk that people get addicted, at least with the Workers' Council. So we had to prove that, well, it's really a nice add-on and it's fun. So we're not having people sitting there after work and deliberately trying to fix data quality problems. It's a nice scenario, but well, not what we want in the end. So it was perceived as a nice and fun add-on. And then we also see it from our operational excellence head here, who is in charge, so owning this data set, that they finally see some lasting trend and some activity basically that led to significant better data in the end. And now, again, the last quiz for today, at least in this presentation. Where do you think did the mission basically start? When did we start to use DQC and use gamification to improve the data quality here? Bit of a rhetorical question, but I think it's quite obvious. It started somewhere in early summer. People got aware of this problem, and it's also not a constant, let's say, improvement, because it's, well, new data is added, you need to fix it. Eventually, it improves, and it's never zero. So it's an ongoing journey, and that's very much what we have with the walk in the park analogy. So it's not a one-time effort. And we see it here, that we constantly basically improve, but we also need to be after the problem and really improve over a long period of time. Then we get an improvement of the result and overall data quality. It's not a one-time effort. And that's what we can clearly see here in the results of the project that's now running for half a year. But how do people in the end create those rules? And that's where AI is basically helping us as well. And that's where Michael will tell you a bit more about it.
Yeah, in the interest of time, just very briefly, so Gen AI is part of the solution, but it's not a silver bullet. We leverage it combined with other algorithms, which are better and sometimes even heuristics. So you don't always have to solve every problem with Gen AI. And this way, like a task that would involve like many people, you can do with much fewer people. So for instance, like for a company that has maybe 500 tables that are business relevant, like it would take 20 people for a year to set up like all these rules, and you can do it much faster with this kind of solution that highly automates. But maybe let's take a brief look at the solution itself. So just one mini example. Here the user wants to set up a data quality rule for one column, a categorical rule, and this is done within seconds, what would typically take like many minutes and maybe some expert calls with colleagues. So what's next?
Exactly. How is our journey continuing? So what we try to achieve now is to provide data governance as a service, so that people in the business can simply go to our IT service portal, can book the service, can connect the databases directly, and then also have all the onboarding and so on automatically assigned to them. So it doesn't feel like we're doing a big data governance project now, but rather, okay, I can finally get a grip on my data problems, and it feels easy and simple. Also, of course, the AI hype is there, and we want to use that to create more rules and higher quality rules in faster speed with the suggestion of Gen AI. And then, of course, also in the next step, use AI to propose potential data corrections. So with the learning of the data, it should be able to also provide options. This is maybe a correct answer, to also simplify the process of correcting it, so making suggestions. And coming to our last slide, the takeaways that you can take with you, of course. At the beginning, we had the traffic rules, so treat data governance as a set of traffic rules in the end. And it's very important that the solution that you provide is accessible and user-centric, and you need to get into action. Communication is key, that's a given. Create a rewarding experience, whether it's a hot dog or something else. It's up to you, but think about what's in for the user. And then, of course, very important, AI is just a tool that you can use. We are available for questions, a little overtime, but only seconds. Thank you for having us, and have a great day.